According to Stanford statistical research, athletic injuries are caused because of several ignored physical regimens within high school and club sports. In this year alone, 3.5 million teens out of the 30 million U.S. children in sports have experienced injuries due to athletic activities. According to Hal Markovitz, a former journalist for the Daily Press, many of the leisure time physical activity injuries that we see in our lifetime are typically because people take an impractical and poorly planned approach to exercising. Secondly, we as a group decided that multi-sport players are likely to have more injuries due to the demand for physical activity and they do not get breaks or off seasons, causing a constant strain on the body. There are several positives to playing multiple sports, such as having a continuous workout routine, physical activity, and conditioning. However, the change in sports can sometimes be drastic, affecting an athlete's production in another activity. There is some controversy here, where Dr. Eric Walker, a chiropractor of Fayetteville, Arkansas, believes that multi-sport athletes who visit his office do not have as severe injuries as opposed to those who only play one sport. Then on the other hand, there is Hal Markovitz. He suggested that most sports injuries are not caused by collisions, but by players who lack conditioning and push themselves too hard.
Many sports injuries, especially in children, can lead to long-term effects that either put them out of the game or continue to cause problems throughout life. The high pressure in today's youth athletics often cause athletes to work too hard. Dr. John P. DiFiore with the Division of Sports Medicine and Non-Operative Orthopedics states that there has been an increased pressure to begin high-intensity training at young ages, and that such an excessive focus on early intensive training and competition at young ages rather than skill development can lead to overuse injury. This is very true. In today's society, we don't just play sports for fun anymore. We start preparing kids for sports at such a young age. Dr. David Geyer also explains how parents these days start having their children specialize in just one sport at such a young age, and how it's actually not good for them. This early and intensive training overworks their bodies. In contrast, physical therapist Ray Umong believes that multiple sports lead to fatigue, which makes an athlete more predisposed to injuries. DiFiore estimates 3.7 million injuries occurred that resulted in more than 1 day's time lost from sports. This estimate does not include the injuries seen outside of the high school setting and underestimates injury rates since it does not account for injuries which do not result in time loss. DiFiore states that the common overuse injuries can lead to growth disturbance and joint deformity. One of the most life-threatening possible effects of sports injuries is CTE, a degenerative brain disease that most scientists believe even the most minor of concussions can lead to. When the physios rendered a 12-year-old who was out with an injury ready to return to training, Jervis did some tests that showed the boy was terrified of re-injury. The athletes have so much time to think, usually about the worst-case scenarios.
I play volleyball, and I've had a very bad back injury. I've strained my Achilles, and I've rolled my ankle a few times. That's about it.
I play baseball. I've subluxed a rib, broken 3 ribs. I've broken 3 fingers, and I've broken my left leg.
Yes, I just tore my ACL.
I have broken my arm. I have received 3 concussions and, some minor scrapes and such. The girl, she kneed me in my temporal lobe, and it was because her knee pad had slid down. And if her knee pad had been on her knee like it's supposed to, then I wouldn't have gotten a concussion like I did.
Yeah, I think I let exhaustion and overuse get to me, and I just wasn't being as tight as I could and using the right technique.
The first way in which sports injuries have been attempted to be solved in the past was through scheduled practices and weight training. The purpose of these is to prepare athletes for how the game works and to build strength in order for in-game actions to be less painful. This, however, has a major downside as athletes can easily be injured during this preparation without proper guidance. According to Chris Lowe, a staff writer for ESPN, this is exactly the case for former Arkansas Razorback running back Raleigh Williams III, who after suffering a second neck injury during a practice scrimmage was forced to leave the sport he loved in order to prevent serious damage to himself in the future. This was not just a bad tackle by a teammate. Even Williams described the tackle as a normal hit. This parallels another story that happened elsewhere, but on the high school level. According to Steve Bunnell, writer of the Globe-Gazette, Parker Crispin in Mason City, Iowa, sued his school district for injuries sustained due to football practices and required weight training sessions. He was described as to having suffered severe continuous, and permanent bodily injury. The common denominator between both incidences is not only were both out-of-game injuries, but both could have been brought upon by negligence by athletic trainers and staff. If proper precautions were taken and practices were constructed in a different manner, both injuries could have easily been preventable. Most sports necessitate training to have their athletes be more effective. However, more and more often, injuries in the process of weight training are occurring. According to the United Press International Consumer Health Reports, weight training injuries increased by 50% between a study period of 1990 to 2007. This heavily impacted athletes around the age of 24 and was increased for athletes above and including the age of 45. Therefore, weight training injuries in practice seem to be trending upwards.
Reducing stress levels will not only help prevent these injuries, but will also help these athletes in school. The University of Rochester Medical Center states that athletes should rest when tired and avoid exercise when they are in pain. Rest is one of the best ways to reduce stress, which leads to a significant decrease in injuries. A study from the British Journal of Sports Medicine explains that particularly those with a stress reduction focus, such as stress inclusion training, are efficient and efficacious methods of reducing sports injury rates and injury time loss. Samantha Matthews, a Baylor University student, perfectly lays out how a busy day in life of an athlete can be. Starting at 5 a.m., sometimes earlier, and finishing at 10 or 11 at night can be stressful and exhausting, which causes these injuries. Also, as previously stated, athletes need more rest time. This will create a healthier lifestyle, leading to fewer injuries. Locally, school athletes will be more prepared in day-to-day life, causing GPA to increase as well as practice stamina. We also need to implement health and safety policy changes for athletic departments. This is affected due to the fact that the policies put in place are not strong enough. Rules like between the end of the following season and the beginning of next season conditioning period, football practices may continue using football shoes, helmets, mouth protectors, and dummies only. However, practice activities that require physical contact work are specifically prohibited. Implemented by the AAA are being followed. Having clean locker rooms are overlooked, which is a major health issue. This helps with fewer injuries of players significantly, but poor health of these athletes can also lead to injuries. We agree that having a no-contact rule of player-to-player is a step in the right direction, but rules and regulations need to hammer down harder on hydration, stretching, cleanliness, and etc. in order for sports injuries to decrease. Some of these fixes are developed in articles posted by RealBuzz.com, a fitness website. It explains how maintaining or developing flexibility is extremely important for injury prevention because poor flexibility is one of the primary causes of muscle and tendon strains.
Our group believes that we, as high school students, can make an impact right here in our school by bringing awareness to the prevalence of athletic injuries. Dr. Ray Umang has given us thought, being young and able to make a difference through bringing in experts to teach and train our school's athletic programs. Umang believes we can do much to fix the problem, and after hearing his ideas and putting confidence in us, we believe it is possible for us to produce change. His program, full of workouts, training, and education for coaches, has generated a lot of talk about further investigations into sports injuries. Our proposed solution is an increase in proper technique programs instituted in high schools. Developing an organized exercise and training for athletes and coaches or instructors will allow athletics to evolve, as well as reduce the possibility of sports injuries. There is lots of work to be done, but Dr. Umang and others assured us if we remain determined and have confidence, we can do lots of good work and work towards change. Let's work together and eliminate athletic injuries at all ages.